What if a grieving mother used 3 billboards, not for business, not for politics, but to publicly call out the police for failing to solve her daughter's tragic case? The film opens on a quiet, forgotten road in a small American town. Alongside that road, there are 3 old, empty billboards that haven't been used in years. One day, a woman named Mildred, who's still grieving the loss of her daughter, drives past and suddenly gets a bold idea. She heads straight to the local advertising company that owns the billboards and tells them she wants to rent them for a whole year. The manager, Red, is completely baffled. That road is so remote, barely any cars pass by even in a month. But Mildred knows exactly what she's doing. She even pays a month in advance. Later that night, Officer Dixon is driving around town when something on the billboards catches his eye. The 3 signs read, "Still no arrests? How come? Raped and murdered while police do nothing." It turns out Mildred's daughter was assaulted and killed 7 months ago. The suspect has never been found. And Mildred believes the local police are either too lazy or too clueless to solve the case. She's furious at their inaction and decides to pressure them by making the case public again. This bold move sets off a firestorm. Mildred hasn't had an easy life. Her marriage was abusive. Her ex-husband eventually left her for a much younger woman, abandoning her with 2 kids. She's faced years of hardship raising them alone. But all that pain and struggle has shaped her into a tough, fearless woman who refuses to back down. As soon as the billboards go up, Police Chief Willoughby pays a visit to the advertising company, trying to shut it down. But Red, the ad manager, is well prepared. He's done his legal homework and confirms the transaction with Mildred is perfectly lawful. The signs don't break any rules. Officer Dixon, however, is hot-headed and known for his temper. He's had trouble in the past, especially with how he treats certain people in the community. Mildred invites the local news station to cover the story. On camera, she boldly criticizes the police, calling out their lack of results and even questioning their intelligence. The next day, Chief Willoughby visits Mildred at home. He tries to explain that the department did everything they could. They collected DNA evidence from the crime scene and ran it nationwide, but found no match. No witnesses. No leads. It's not that they didn't care, it's that the perpetrator was careful. He pleads with Mildred to take the signs down. But she won't budge. That evening, a local priest stops by Mildred's house, politely asking her to reconsider the billboards. But instead of backing down, she unleashes a passionate and brutal takedown of the church's moral failures, turning his request into a larger critique of hypocrisy and cover-ups. Realizing Mildred won't back off, Chief Willoughby reopens the case files. But even after reviewing all the evidence again, there are still no new clues. Meanwhile, the town dentist, who's friends with the chief, tries to punish Mildred by messing with her during a routine appointment. But Mildred stands her ground and turns the tables on him. When the dentist files a complaint, Mildred is brought into the police station. There, the chief tries to wear her down emotionally by bringing up her past, her ex-husband, his much younger girlfriend, and her painful family history. But during the conversation, the chief suddenly has a medical emergency, coughing up blood right in front of her. Despite all the tension between them, Mildred doesn't hesitate. She immediately calls for help and gets him to the hospital. The road where the billboards stand is also the route Mildred takes home every day. For her son, who's trying to move on from the tragedy, seeing those signs daily is a painful reminder. Before the incident, Mildred's daughter had a rebellious streak. On the night it happened, they'd had a huge argument. She stormed out and never came back. Mildred still blames herself, thinking if she'd just let her daughter take the car that night, maybe none of it would have happened. The next day, her ex-husband shows up unexpectedly with his young girlfriend. He says he wants to talk about the billboards. But the conversation quickly turns ugly, and he lashes out. Mildred's son, now used to these confrontations, calmly steps in with a kitchen knife and threatens his dad, showing just how much he's had to grow up in a world of conflict. To put pressure on Mildred, Officer Dixon arrests her coworker at the gift shop, claiming she's hiding marijuana. Mildred storms into the police station and gives Dixon a furious earful. The following day, while she and Red are discussing the next month's payment, a staff member arrives with an envelope. It's from an anonymous donor who has covered the cost for another month. Mildred is shocked and moved. That night, Chief Willoughby, who's been suffering quietly from a serious illness, writes heartfelt letters to his family and to Mildred. He kisses his wife and children goodnight, then walks out to a quiet place and takes his own life. His reasons were twofold: the pain was becoming unbearable, and he didn't want his family to remember him in his worst moments. He wanted them to hold on to their happy memories of him instead. When the news breaks, Officer Dixon is devastated. He believes the billboards drove the chief to end his life. In a blind rage, he storms into the ad agency across from the police station and attacks Red, leaving him badly hurt. Mildred learns about the suicide through a TV report. She doesn't know the chief's reasons, but she starts to feel that maybe, just maybe, her actions played a part. A new police chief is soon appointed, a calm and firm man who also happens to be black. Dixon, showing his usual lack of respect, is immediately taken off the force. Later, a close friend of the former chief storms into Mildred's shop, shouting threats and slurs. But right after, the chief's widow arrives with a letter, Willoughby's final note to Mildred. In it, he explains that his decision had nothing to do with her. In fact, he supported what she was doing. He believed in her fight. That's why, before his death, he secretly paid for another month of billboard rent. That evening, as Mildred and her son drive home, they discover the billboards have been set on fire. Mildred suspects the police, or someone close to them, is behind it. Meanwhile, Dixon, now jobless and aimless, gets a call from a fellow officer. The chief had left him a personal letter, asking him to pick it up after hours. He goes to the station and reads the heartfelt message. Willoughby gently points out his flaws, encourages him to grow, and urges him to be a better man. Just as Dixon finishes reading, Mildred shows up and throws a homemade firebomb into the police station. Dixon barely escapes. Oddly enough, the one person who had a soft spot for Mildred, James, the local car salesman, was there during the chaos. To protect her, he gives a false statement, pretending he was with her all night. Grateful, Mildred agrees to go out to dinner with him. But that dinner doesn't go well. While at the restaurant, she runs into her ex-husband again, and realizes he's the one who burned the billboards. Meanwhile, Dixon, recovering in the hospital, finds himself in the same room as Red, the man he injured. With tears in his eyes, he offers a sincere apology. Red accepts. The man who originally posted the billboards also shows up, bringing backup materials. Together, they manage to restore the signs once again. One night, while drinking at a bar, Dixon overhears a man bragging about a terrible thing he once did to a woman, something eerily similar to Mildred's daughter's case. Dixon provokes the guy, grabs a sample of his DNA, and submits it for testing. Unfortunately, it turns out the man is not the person they're looking for. But he has done something similar, just not in this town. The film ends with Dixon and Mildred driving out together, heading to confront the man. They're not sure what they'll do when they find him. It's an open-ended conclusion, leaving us wondering if justice will be served, or if vengeance will take over. In the end, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri is a story about pain, justice, resilience, and the complexity of human emotions. No matter how dark the world gets, the film reminds us, stay true to your conscience.